This meeting is being recorded.
Hello and welcome to this podcast of Sam's Alternatives. Of course, I am Sam, episode 5, chatting to Tim and Brenden from Adelaide Metal band Those Left Behind, who are ready to join. So I better let them both in so we can get this interview started, as they say. So just give me a second while we. Hello, Brenden.
How's it doing?
Good, thanks. Hello, Tim.
Hello, mate. How are you?
Fine. Sorry, I don't know what happened with the microphone there before, Tim, because I could hear
I
you,
don't
but
know. I can't get the bloody thing working.
ah, it's good to actually see your face, guys,
So it
because
just is what it is.
Tim and Brenden are no strangers to the podcast
Oh,
interviews.
I'm still having trouble. Happening again.
Ah, all right. So how are we this evening, Brenden?
Doing quite well, Sam. Thanks, and happy birthday, mate.
Oh, thank you. Yes, that's now going to be on YouTube that Sam's birthday was today. Damn, we'll edit that out. No, not really.
Oops, my bad. Sorry about that.
It's all right, Brenden. That's fine. I mean, we could air dirty laundry on this podcast. There's a lot of stuff people could air about myself, so.
Nice. No, I've been quite well. Thank you very much. I've been very busy at the moment. Things have been red hot at the moment.
Yep. So, lots happening over there in South Australia at the moment?
Oh, absolutely. I think it's like everywhere at the moment. We've got tons of international tours coming through. It's just been absolute pandemonium. The back end of 2024 was huge for internationals coming down. Locally, yeah, we've got a lot of really cool festivals. Like we're playing I'm Not a Burden next Saturday. That's going to be absolutely insane. You know, personally some of my favorite bands in like Storm the Crown, I Choose Violence, Sons of Erebus, and yeah, just absolute titans there. And yeah, I can't. I'm chomping at the bit. It's a great way to start the year.
No, that is an insane lineup. Throw in signals there as well. Harroway, Artifact, and you got a killer lineup just there alone.
Oh, I know, right? I know. So, and then Fred Fear headlining and closing the show out is just, it's just an unstoppable lineup with just some absolute titans and monsters.
Yes, nah. I wish I could be there, but unfortunately, my party's that weekend, and also I'm in Victoria, not in South Australia, which is a bit of a nuisance, but it is what it is.
Yeah, mate, we'll miss you. We'll make sure we put in the hard efforts in for you.
I do want to get over to South Australia at some stage, Brenden, so I think I need to stop putting it off and just get my ass over to Adelaide or South Australia in the next few weeks or even months.
Yeah, mate, absolutely. We'll definitely catch up when you're down here.
Yep. Well, for those that don't know who Brenden and Tim are, they are brothers and also two of the members of Adelaide Metal band Those Left Behind. Now, people who are no strangers to my podcast would know that this isn't the first time I've interviewed Brenden or Tim, but it's the first time they've been on the same interview as each other.
Yes, this is true. So it's always pretty interesting when you get us in a room virtually or in person.
But I looked back, it's nearly 12 months since I've chatted to you, Brenden, and a few months since I've spoken to Tim, so you sort of swap and change who takes turns.
Yeah.
We do that, don't we?
But it's always a pleasure to talk to both of you. But yeah, I didn't realise how long it actually been since we spoken, Brenden.
Yeah, no, it has been quite a long time. I don't think we had released negative by that point. Or we may have just released it on, I think that was April, last year. And then we went and released Ouroboros in late November. So yeah, we've released two singles that we're pretty proud of, and we're heading into the studio in March as well to record a new single that I think we're all really stoked on, and we can't wait for people to hear a new single called Cute Dates. So yeah, fingers crossed that should be out there by like the end of March.
Oh, so not too far away at all.
No. I'm really excited about that one. I'm really stoked on the last two singles that have actually come out in Negative and Ouroboros. They're just I believe showing a really good showcase of where the band's actually heading.
Yep. And you're pretty happy with them as well, Tim? Ouroboros and Negative?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Y-
yeah. Ouroboros has been like, I mean, I love that song.
Yeah.
It's so much fun to play live.
Now,
That's the energy in it and stuff, and the reaction to Negative has been huge as well. So you know, yeah, really stoked to have those out. Um, they're just the beginning parts of the new stuff and the new, kind of writing that we've been doing.
Yep.
Especially ever since Brendan and Wade joined. Like, I'll mark my words in the message. While Brendan and Wade wrote rhythm parts on it, they had come in after the core of it was written. Whereas with Negative and Ouroboros, these are new songs for all five of us. So, and with a lot more to come this year.
Mm. Well, as you know, I'm a massive Those Left Behind fan. I mean, the countdown showed it with Negative and obviously Pain. I know that's Suffer the Avenue song, but for those that don't know, Timmy does collaborate with Suffer the Avenue on Pain.
Yeah, I'm bloody proud of that one.
Mm. Now, I was doing my practice of actually how to pronounce Ouroboros because I'm like, is it a Auroraboros? Is it Ouroboros? I'm like, if I stuff it up throughout the interview, it's going to be like, Sam, you practiced it 50 times before you did the interview and you still stuffed it up.
That's
I'm
all right.
pretty
Brendan
sure
still
that the
calls the song its working title, which was something, some,
Necromancer.
yeah,
So
yeah.
when the kicking demos were going around, the song was actually called Necromancer. And then it was like Necro for a while there. And then once Tim put down his lyrics, he's like, "Oh, the song's name is Ouroboros." And I think Tim had to bend the knee a little bit because we were always just staring at it on the thing, like, I don't know what that song is. So we had it as Necromancer on the set list for a little bit, but I think we're all on the same page now to actually call it
No,
what
we're
you call
not. At practice, you
Ouroboros.
still called it Ouroboros on Tuesday night. Hey,
Or
you still
cool.
called it Necromancer on Tuesday night.
Yes, I did. I did. So
Yeah.
finally, well, hey, it's what can I say?
Old habits.
Yep.
I've got to say, Ouroboros does roll off the tongue a lot easier, and I'd actually said it right then, so hopefully that's a continuation throughout the night, that I don't stuff it up. Like,
You do get to.
like my first interview where I was trying to say humility and I kept saying humidity like throughout it. I'm like, Sam, it's humility, not humidity. uh, but
Don't
of
get me
course,
started on humidity at the moment. Jesus.
uh, but
Sweatbox in this room.
oh, join the club, Tim. Down here in Warrigal, it's still about 28 degrees, and it's like 8 o'clock down here. I'm like, how can it still be in the high 20s at 8 o'clock at night? It is summer, though.
Welcome to
This
Adelaide, mate.
this is Australia. Welcome all.
Yes, nah. But of course, it doesn't happen very often during interviews, but I'm actually ahead of Tim and Brendan on time. It doesn't happen very often, but only half an hour compared to if I was interviewing a band from Perth, it'd be 3 hours at the moment. But
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh, well, if you were interviewing someone from Queensland, that'd be an hour and a half behind you.
oh yeah, they would too, wouldn't they? Yeah. All right, we're going to get into daylight saving finascos, are we? We're just going to go, all right, New Zealand would be 2 hours ahead, Northern Territory would be an hour and a half. Just, yeah.
Yeah.
When you go international, mate, you'll be waking up at 3 in the morning.
I have done one international interview with someone. They were in Berlin, so they got up at 7 a.m. their time, so it was 5 p.m. over here. And
That's not so bad.
I'm like, are you sure you don't want to do it a bit later, say 9 o'clock Australian time? And they're like, nah, 5 p.m. Australian time's fine. I'm like, all right, I did give you the option.
Nice. I'm an early riser, so that I don't mind getting up early for a few for stuff. Get it in and out of the way.
Yep. Well, of course, this is episode 5. Now, the first 3 episodes were bands that never interviewed, but funnily enough, the last one and this one I have interviewed. So it's different now because it's all over WebEx, which I gotta say, I'd prefer WebEx to audio, as weird as that sounds, because you can actually see who you're talking to.
Yeah, I definitely like doing interviews this way. It just you get to interact and you just you feel like you're actually having a real conversation. It's like the best thing rather than actually sitting in a room across from a person. So yeah, I definitely love the shift to the video and then the YouTube stuff as well. I think that's great.
Yeah, it's sad how it ended with the audio one, but I didn't want to give it up altogether, so I had to figure out what am I actually going to do now, because Spotify, let's not get into that jargon, because I'd be here all night. But they took away so much privilege of what I could actually do and play for local music. So then when I saw someone do a YouTube channel, I'm like, well, how hard can it be? I just need to start a YouTube channel, have a WebEx account, and a video camera. Pretty easy.
Easy days, mate.
Nice.
Mm.
That's isn't that so awesome about essentially like the times that we're living in. So you can produce demos in your bedroom that actually sound pretty coherent. Like I still remember when I was in my bands in my like late teens, early 20s, and we were having like 4-track recorders. We were putting mattresses up against a 4x12 with 100-watt amp, so you didn't annoy the neighbors in your in your small flat. You're recording a click track, and then you just trying to get, and you've only got 4 tracks at that particular point, just to try and get those ideas that you've got in your head. You don't have drums, you've just got a click track. Where now, like you've got, it's relatively easy to get those ideas down, and some of those ideas that get pushed around sound better than some of the first demos that you were originally doing, and you've spent absolutely like no time on EQing or mixing or automation or anything. You've got one knob plugins that are mix ready, and they just sound great off the bat. So it's just great that the fact that the ability of the way the music industry has gone, for better or for worse, to everything going online, is the fact that you can do things and you can get you can nut out those ideas in your bedroom, and then you can also chat to people, which you would have to normally go to a radio station, which are governed by time frames and governed by people who are overseeing it. But as for a podcaster, I would imagine there'd be a heck of a lot of freedom in regards to who you want, when you want to do it, and then the topics that you want to talk about.
No, I think you've nailed the right on the head there, Brendan. The other thing with the podcast over a radio or other sort of platforms is that there's nothing really off limits, as you would have known with our audio podcasts over the years. We talked a lot of shit for those that didn't hear them. But
now, the roofs may swing up this year.
Oh, might swing down, Timmy, I think.
Yeah, well, no, they didn't get up on any of the bets I had on them, so yeah.
Yes, we've
back because they were supposed to be a wild horse, Sammy.
Oh,
It's not wild, and that horse was a dead horse.
I think we're airing Sam's dirty laundry here, are we? He's a North Melbourne supporter. It's his birthday. Anything else people want to hear about me?
I reckon that's what needs to be one of your segments is Sammy's top 5 hot tips during the AFL season. I reckon you got your locks, you got your wild cards, and your sure things, and then your Hail Marys. I reckon we're onto something here.
Oh, okay. Maybe a new topic and segment for. Well, I'm open to suggestions and.
Just YouTube shorts, mate. Just quick one, quick and easy, quick fire, bang right there.
Here's my quick 5 for the week.
Yeah.
As long as no one asks me to say, top 5 Powerball numbers that will be drawn in the next month, I'll be like, yeah, Tats Lotto, Powerball. I don't have any inkling or any psychic powers that I would know what numbers would come out at what day.
I don't even know what numbers, how many numbers you actually need to pick, but just start from what do you call it, the ruse first to whatever fifth. If you've got to pick five numbers, and if it's like 1, 3, 5, 8, 12, bang, I reckon you got yourself a model there. Maybe not be a good one, but it's a model.
Oh yes.
Damn, don't listen to him.
Uh,
Starting on betting tips on
Mate,
YouTube, it will probably not go well.
well, I mean, the first 4 episodes shit some of the stuff we've been talking about. Like, people actually want to watch this, some of it. Like, some of the shit I'm talking about. It's like, really?
Yeah, why not? Why not? All about having a laugh.
Yeah. By the way, banter is welcome. So anyone that's watching this and thinking, is Sam taking the piss out of stuff? It's not that. Banter is welcome on podcasts. It's a must, almost, actually.
Oh, especially when you're talking dickheads like us.
Yeah. Absolutely, like I think that's one main big thing is I think we take the piss out of each other more than absolutely anything else, and we actually chat about it, especially when me and Wade first joined the band. I think it was a culture shock to Glenn and Kai, because me, Wade, and Tim have me and Tim obviously known each other our entire lives. Me and Timmy, he's offline. He doesn't want to hear this story. He's had enough. He's had enough. He's gone. He's out of
20
here.
minutes is too long. Nah, not really.
All right. So,
Oh, we can hear you, Tim. We just can't see you.
looks like we're going back to audio only.
What the hell? There we are.
I think it was a bit of a culture shock for the drummer and the other guitarist when me and Wade first joined the band. I think it was probably because I came in first on bass, and like me and Tim just having just our back and forth, and then when Wade joined the band, because I've known probably since I was 16, and Timmy, you've known Wade since you were both like 18.
Yeah.
And so we've known each other for a very, very long time. I was in a band with Wade for probably about 10 to 12 years before those left behind. So yeah, we all lived around the same area, and hung out all the time at the same time. So like the banter got pretty thick and fast, and I think it happened really, really quickly where Kai and Glenn were just like, whoa, okay, this is and also the arguments that me and Timmy have as well. So they may seem like arguments, but they're just us having having an honest and open conversation, really.
Well, for those that don't know and wondering why they've known each other so long, obviously Tim and Brenden are brothers. Like,
Yeah.
And
Yeah, we don't look like it, but we actually are.
Both talk shit about each other on the opposing podcast their brother was on. So Tim would say stuff about Brenden, Brenden would say stuff about Tim, and it was just like back and forth. It was...
We'll still say shit about each other, even in the same podcast.
Oh yeah, we're pretty sure we model this whole thing on the Gallagher brothers.
I'd like to hope we're not as bad as them. Mate. Well, nah, I mean, I haven't split your head open or broken any of your bones since we were kids. So.
You haven't.
Nah. So well,
that's a good start, and hopefully it stays that way, that you don't do that.
Yeah, it's a long time. Got a few gigs and a few recording sessions coming up. Who knows what will happen?
Oh, nah. But as always, it's always a pleasure to speak to Brenden and Tim. Like when you guys said we want to jump on, I'm like, I didn't even hesitate. You know that.
Yeah.
Mate, we love what you're doing, what you've been doing for so long, and like massive support, and also support of Aussie local music. Like, it's really awesome that we've got platforms like this to come and showcase our music, and then also just chat and like talk about how rad and cool going to gigs and live shows and the the Adelaide and also the Australian like music scene. So it's just awesome just to talk to like-minded people and hope like-minded people watch or listen to, what we're doing and what we're saying, and somehow relate to it. So yeah, I think it's just really cool that we can all get together and just chat about our passion for music.
Mm. And we don't even have to be in the same room or state. I mean, I'm nearly 1,000 kilometres away from where Brenden and Tim are at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it
Yeah.
probably is 1,000 kilometres because Gippsland, yeah. Well, it's 900 to Adelaide from Melbourne, so it'd probably be 1,000 from Warragul. So
Yeah, probably. Like, yeah, we're pretty far out. I'm what you call it? I'm down sorry, what do they even call this? Peninsula. And Timmy's down what you call it? Timmy's down north and I'm down west. So we're probably about 30 minutes, 35 minutes away from town, really.
oh wow, so yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
No.
the only section of the Adelaide suburbs we don't cover is the east. Believe it or not, we're spread
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
I guess it's easier just to say Adelaide Metal Band than all of South Australia covered,
Yeah.
sort of thing.
Yeah, we're just a South Australian metalcore band or some shit.
I've always found this interesting. Like when a band has a member from, say, 2 or 3 different states, as I know quite a few in this country that have like 2 members from one state and then 2 from another, that's when it gets difficult. Like, where do you say that band comes from?
Well, D's Nuts just basically used to say they were from, especially with AJ moving, but so much as well. They claim as being from New York and from Melbourne.
Okay.
Even though, JJ's originally from Adelaide.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't reckon. I reckon you're what you call it? You're a wanderer at that particular point. Like, and also, how cool is that? Like, if you've got an absolute passion for a project and you can't find the like-minded individuals that that you really click with, or if you have, you're working with someone and for some reason or they need to move or something like that, you can still work together, which is absolutely phenomenal. So I think it just ends up just being we're a band.
Making music and having fun times, hopefully.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Most of the time, you hope.
And causing as much ruckus and noise as you want, and annoying the trying not to annoy the neighbours.
Oh, well, I mean, it makes that pretty easy right now because, I mean, whenever I'm practicing, I've just got in-ears in the entire time. So all that is just the sound of, an electric guitar just being played with no amplification besides from what's going through my ears. So yeah, I mean, I get up really, really early in the morning to get my practice sessions in because, as soon as the sun comes up, the life gets away from you. And it's just really cool that, you can do that sort of stuff now. And you can find time to do it rather than having to wait for some key point where, everyone's out of the house or everyone's not trying to sleep or the neighbors, have chosen that that's the time that they agree that you think that you can practice. So yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Nah.
Yeah, if my neighbours think I'm a howling lunatic, well, cool. Means they'll leave me alone.
Well, there's worse things you could be doing than howling at the top of your lungs, Tim. I can think of 50 things worse than that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I won't go into them over the airwaves, but I think people can sort of paint a picture of what I was talking about. But anyway.
Starting an air horn collection.
An air horn collection. Ah.
Yeah.
So. All right. Well, Brenden and
Just
Tim.
fire one off each morning at 4.
Sure, you'll make heaps of friends, mate.
Yeah, I reckon so.
Well,
Now, I reckon by 4:05 after day 2, there'd be people coming over to have a look at the collection.
Charge tickets, mate. Side hustle. There you go.
Yeah, that's it.
Far out. I'm an
I'll
ideas
charge
man
people to get
tonight.
me not to do it.
charge them a fee, $10 entry.
I'm sure that's called extortion.
Yeah, okay. All right, we've probably
Frowned
covered.
upon.
Well, look, depends on how you want to look at it.
Your Honour.
That's right. Maybe I'm trying to do a public service. Maybe
Your
my
Honour.
plan is to eventually distribute those air horns so the neighbours can let us know if there's trouble. I'm just testing them.
Oh, so neighbourhood watch, mate. Hey, you're in there for the community.
That's it. It's a community project.
Community service, outreach.
Yeah.
Well,
Timmy's air horns.
Timmy's air horns, I like that. That's got a good ring to it. It might be a business
Community outreach
pitch.
program.
Partnered
Making
with
sure
neighbourhood
everyone's
watch.
awake and knows what's up.
Oh, mate, imagine if you did that and it was the purge siren.
Oh,
That would ruffle a well, it wouldn't ruffle a few feathers. It would just create a little bit of confusion and shock, wouldn't it?
yeah, but that's half the fun, isn't it?
All right. Looks like I've got my Sunday project all mapped out for me.
All right, I think we've got a few business pitches here and ideas, and this interview went a wacky and weird style of events. But anyway, I guess
It
this
just turned into Shark Tank, mate.
No. Wait, an air horn that just makes the pinch harmonic noise.
Okay.
Oh, but it has to be like, but then you can pick some of the greats. So that means you can go for a dime, squealy, or you can go for a wild squealy.
Or Adam D. Squealy.
Oh, that's a bit raunchy. I don't mind it. I
Yeah.
don't mind it. Yeah, okay,
Or
okay.
the classic swear word on Metalocalypse. Squealy.
Yes. Mm,
Yeah.
nice. All right, well,
one of those. I really would.
I think this interview's had everything except answers to questions so far in its 30 minutes.
answer questions with questions.
Questions
Oh,
with...
we're here for a reason? Huh?
Oh, yeah, we were actually going to do an interview.
Oh, shit. Yeah, all right.
All right, dial in, strap in, boys. Here we go.
Oh, fuck, half an hour already. It's like, hang on, Sam hasn't even got to the first question. This is no disrespect to interstate band, so please, if any interstate band is watching, I feel like the questions take longer to ask with interstate bands than they do Melbourne bands. Now, I don't know if that's just those left behind or it's just all interstate bands. They just want to get on and talk as much banter and shit and forget all about the questions.
Look, I can't speak for other bands, but, well, we're not very bright. So we use saucy banter as a way to not sound as dumb.
Yeah, I think it's just because we're just avoiding questions, you know. Call it what you want. We just call it country.
Oh, shit. This is going down as bad as well as I thought it would. I knew this was going to be just a talk shit banter sort of chat, but that's what I love about Those Left Behind, and that's why you always come back.
Say, you knew what you were in for. This is not the
Come
first
on,
time.
mate.
Where's End? No, I'm joking. I'm not meeting. All right, so Tim and Brenden obviously know the gist of these interviews. They've done enough of them with me. I find out a bit about Those Left Behind, which there isn't actually much to know because we've done 4 interviews, so I know pretty much nearly everything. But at the end, Brenden and Tim have the floor. They get to ask me the hard-hitting question that they've always wanted to. So the shoe's on the other foot at the end.
Ooh, saucy. All right. After
Yeah, I usually dump you in it, don't I?
Wouldn't be the first time, Tim.
For some of the questions you've asked me.
All right. Well, first question off the rank, as they say. What has Those Left Behind been up to since we last spoke? We've sort of already gone into a bit of it, actually. But
Short answer would be writing new stuff, releasing Ouroboros. We did Metal to the Max. That was a crazy weekend. One of us had a kid and got married. One of us had a slight mental breakdown and some health issues. We played a couple of more shows. And anything else, Brendan?
No, not really. I think
Brendan got his
probably.
Jackson V.
Oh yeah, that's
Oh.
nice. Mark Holman, Suicide Silence signature series. If you don't mind, don't mind it. Yeah, I think probably since from the last time we spoke was coming off the back of Negative release. We were so super stoked on the way Negative was received, which was fantastic. During that time, our other guitarist Kai had a kid and got married, so we'd just been going through a little bit more writing. So we weren't playing as many shows as what we normally would, but we were putting together like some really rough demos for what we're setting ourselves up for is 2025. So originally we were supposed to go in and record Ouroboros and Cute Day at the same time, but unfortunately circumstances came into it. We didn't get as much studio time as what we would have liked. So we had to complete that. So we had to pick one, and we decided that Ouroboros would be the logical next release. And then the next available time to get in the studio is March for Cute Day. But we're really setting ourselves up to either depending on how the songs go, is either be releasing either an EP or an LP this year. We're just seeing. We really like to work on our songs and understand where the direction is, and we're not afraid to leave a song on the cutting room floor as well. So we've got a few songs like kicking around at the moment, and we've just got to really decide on what's the best representation of the band, and what's what do people want to hear, and hopefully people will like it. But I guess it's releasing our singles at the moment, looking to consolidate that into either an EP or an album by mid to late this year.
Wow. No, it's sounding really good, and I'm interested to see what 2025 holds in store for those left behind, because I've been a fan.
That's all I can say.
What? I've been a fan 3 years, 4 years. I've lost count now when I actually discovered those left behind.
I think you and me first started talking just on Messenger, I forget about 2021, actually, mate.
Okay, well, it doesn't feel like that long ago, Tim. I mean, the last 3 years has been a blur because it's just disappeared.
Yeah, well, how many shows you went to last year? My God.
Yeah, and someone a friend of mine made a comment and said, "How many have you been to this year?" And this was on New Year's Day. And I said, "This is my first show." He's like, "Not good enough." I'm like, "How can I be to more than one show in 2025 when it's New Year's Day?"
Because you could have been at a show when it hit midnight.
Oh, okay.
And then technically it's two shows.
Yes. Well, that's true. I hadn't thought about it that way, but
I mean, what's sleep?
Yeah. Well, if people went home early on New Year's Eve from work, I could have got to another gig, but no, they decided to stay out, didn't they? So.
How rude.
Outrage.
Yeah.
I remember working hospo. People on New Year's are just so inconsiderate.
If it was,
maybe you want a New Year's as well.
Because I remember who was playing New Year's in Melbourne. There was a big name the year just gone on New Year's Eve, and I think was it Alt from Adelaide. I think we're doing a Nemo Never Sleeps night in Melbourne New Year's Eve. I was like,
pretty sure. Weren't Pizza Death playing a New Year's Eve show as well and actually doing the midnight countdown?
I reckon you're right, Tim. I reckon Pizza Death definitely did a show as well, because I reckon the mate I was talking about said he'd gone to Pizza Death New Year's Eve when I saw him at Recovery Fest. So...
Yeah, I reckon that was out at Geelong.
Yeah.
Or Darwin.
I reckon you're right.
I reckon it was, yeah. God, I love that venue. That place is sick.
You know, weirdest thing, I've never been to the Barwon Club Hotel in Geelong. One of the
Can't?
only venues in Victoria. Well, actually, that's a lie. I haven't been to Volta and that, but yeah, there's a lot of venues I have been to. Obviously, in Melbourne, but I haven't been to Barwon Club. But I should get there one day if I can get myself to
Yeah.
Geelong.
Yeah, well, we're of course crossing our fingers we'll be asked to come over for Drencher Fest this year. So, uh,
No. Because you are in Victoria a fair bit, and over the last couple of years, I've missed a couple of shows, obviously. But
we actually didn't make it over last year for the first time, and like we made it over in 2022 and 2023,
yep,
but 2024, yeah, we just didn't make it over.
no. Well,
So we're gonna have to make up for that this year.
well, it costs money, obviously, to
It
tour.
does. It does. Not to mention time. Just it really got away from us last year.
Yeah,
When with new kids and everything like that, and the picture and stuff. It's life gets in the way.
yep. Other commitments, as they say.
Mm. Oh, look, we're 4 out of the 5 of us now are dads, and our kids range from various ages, but across 3 of the guys, you've got 2, 4 kids under 4,
Yeah.
under 5.
So yeah, dad time and time with kids is very important at that age.
Yeah, teenagers don't they don't care.
No. Well, actually, I shouldn't say that, but I know what you're saying, Tim. They're like off.
I've got a teenager, so I can say it.
They're off TikToking or partying or doing whatever.
AIs or yeah.
No,
I think that's the new one.
no. But
Yeah.
I must be one of the only people in the world that does not have a TikTok account, or everyone I seem to know has one.
Oh, same. Like the reluctancy and how long it took for us to even just get one for the band was a long, long time. I reckon that when we only just hopped on TikTok would have been the same week that we did Mildura in Melbourne last time.
So that's only about 2 years ago.
A year and a half, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Because you played one of the last gigs of 2023 that was at not Last Chance, Whole Lot of Love Bar before. Sadly, it closed. Obviously.
Yeah, that's sad, that one.
Yeah, I liked
That
Whole
was
Lot
cool
of Love.
venue.
It was
And the
tiny.
tattoo shop in next door was sick as well.
Yes, a live venue next to a tattoo shop. I like that idea. And it had a
It worked
Macca's.
well for me.
And it had a Macca's across the road. That's another
did.
good thing.
Yeah.
And a Dan Murphy's as well.
Yeah, so you could have fast food, get drunk, and then play a show. Not that I'm encouraging or any of
Generally
that.
not in that order, but unfortunately too often it is in that order, yes. Depends on where you are in the lineup.
Yes.
Because then it ends up being drink more, eat Macca's after, go home and throw up and crash.
Yeah. And when it's not in your state as well, there's the other factor. You still got to get home the next day or 2 days later. At
That's
least
the next day problem.
Yeah. Well, thankfully, Adelaide or South Australia isn't too far from Melbourne. It's not like Perth or Cairns or somewhere where it's like a 2-3 day drive, or in Perth's case, 4 days.
Mm. Yeah, that'd suck.
Mm. All right. Well, what has the overall response been like for Ouroboros?
Pretty good. Pretty good. People seem to dig it. They're definitely listening to it. Yeah. Yeah, people really seem to enjoy it. I think it's because it's got those old school, like some very where we come from sort of throwbacks in it to Parkway and Prom Queen and things like that. It's really resonating with a lot of the old crew. you know, who are still listening to the same Parkway and Prom Queen albums 20 years later. I'm in that group.
Well, two pioneers of Australian metal, and one of them you mentioned the biggest metal band in this country and still are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
They
I
were
think
insane last year.
Yeah, they were. I think people have really responded well to it because I mean, we were always getting a good response to it when we were playing live, which is a really, really good beta test. And I think just in regards to like the aggression behind it, I think people musically and sonically, I think that yeah, just in regards to um, how intense some parts and how it builds. People yeah gives a lot of different opportunities to have the four to the floor and then also like that little bit of a slowdown. And also I think it's lyrically as well. It's something that if that particular topic or if something like that has touched you, it's something that's quite gives people something that they can relate to, because it's one of those you're not alone. A lot of people because I won't speak for Tim because Tim's the one who wrote the lyrics, but the songs about friends battling addiction and the acts that happen in between it, and then just hoping that they find the guidance to get some help. So in regards to that, if anyone's experienced that sort of stuff in their life, it's and I think the music really sort of showcases how a situation like that can bind the friend up into knots because at the end of the day, most people just want to help other people.
Nah, that's a very good way of putting it. And also, like, a song that has a story behind it, like most songs do have a story behind it, but what you just explained there about Ouroboros and, battling addiction and knowing you're not alone, I think there's a lot of people out there that feel like if they ask for help, if they're battling, whether it's alcohol, drugs, whatever it is, it's a sign of weakness if they reach out to ask someone for help in battling it, and it's not a sign of weakness.
No, it's a sign of strength. It really is. Because you've got support networks around you. Hopefully you do. Reach out and touch base, and someone else might be going through the same thing as what you are, and they're also too afraid to reach out as well. So, um, you can have it as a journey of recovery together. Um, However, it also comes back down to battling that topic of if someone isn't willing to help themselves, you can do everything you can try, but at some point you do need to get on with your own life.
Nah, spoken truly. And you heard it out of them. They're the musicians. I'm not the musician here. They're the writers of the lyrics. I mean, as Brenden said, Tim wrote Ouroboros and done a very good job of it. I personally think it's
Thank you.
probably one of my favourite Those Left Behind songs. I do love Negative and the Message, but I feel like Ouroboros just what Tim touched on with the sort of old school Parkway and I Killed the Prom Queen sound. I sort of are getting the gist of that with Ouroboros that I wouldn't say with maybe the Message and Negative, but again, it's my word against the band's word, really.
No, 100%. It does like Ouroboros does feel some sort a different area, and yeah, internally we 100% agree with you. In regards to that sort of, what sort of vibe do we actually have? And like when we're even looking at songs, we're like, okay, is this our mosh song? Is this our what do you call it? Is this our intensity song? Is this our bounce song? Is this our circle pit sort of song? And then we have those different types of, okay, well, inherently this is the type of feel that we get for it. And, even when we're putting sets together, we were like, oh, well, let's open it with a circle pit song, and then let's go into a mosh song, or let's go into a bounce song, let's go into an aggression song, let's go into a headbang song. So yeah, 100% agree with you in regards to those different types, and it's great that you've actually like that's what we're actually even like aiming for, is to actually give that sort of diversity in like catalog, and also hopefully in our live performance, is that okay, well, changing tempos, changing the essentially it's really based around the tempos. Like we set certain tempos and we're like, okay, well, if something's at this particular tempo, we know it's going to be that bounce, jump, jump, jump sort of song. We know that if we're sitting at 130, it's going to be a circle pit sort of song. We know if it's at 175, 180 beats per minute, it's going to be that high pace, or what I call the running song. It's generally what you hear when you're out running. So yeah, we do take those different types of things into consideration. And sometimes, even when we're writing a song, we're like, this doesn't feel right. Like it's there, but we don't. And then we might bump it up by like 10 BPM, or drop a section by a little bit as well. We're like, okay, cool. Yeah, well, that fits, and that more fits the vibe of where we're trying to go for it.
So I love how the circle and the, a mosh song. So what song does the road pit represent? Because I've seen a few videos of those Left Behinds gigs where you do the Ammon Amarth thing that they did at Knockfest a couple of years ago, where you row the boat. What song does that sort
Mark my words.
Oh, okay.
Mark my words. Mark my words falls into what you call it, a mosh song.
Yep.
For us. And yeah, that's definitely. But then again, once again, we play around with the tempo on that one, so it goes into mosh, into slow down. So we bring it down, almost 7 to 10 beats per minute into the row sort of stuff. So there is a bit of movement in that, and I think out of design, we wanted to have that sort of headbangy sort of thing, and then really slow it down and get real dirty and in the ditch. Like that's where we were like sort of aiming with that.
For those that don't know what the hell I am talking about, and that weren't at Knotfest 2023, I think it was 2022, 2020, no, 2023. Sorry, it was with Megadeth and Trivium, the Parkway, etc. Ammon Amarth in Melbourne said, "Everyone get on the ground." I'm like, okay, are we gonna kneel down and then jump up, mosh around? No, you're gonna row your boat. I'm like, okay, that's something I've never done in a mosh pit before. Done a lot of things, but not that.
Well, so we actually started it before that.
Ah!
Before we saw that, anyway. But I'm trying to pinpoint who I saw actually do it first. I'm like, that's so cheesy, but it's so fucking cool. I can't remember for the life of me at the moment, but yeah, we've been doing that song probably since the end of 2020. When I did, maybe early 2022, we started doing that.
So
I reckon.
So nearly 3 years, pretty much.
Yeah, we've been doing it a while.
Ammon Amarth stole your material, Tim. No, not really.
Well, just like, you get Gene Simmons and Ronnie James Dio were always arguing over who started this. It's one of those things. It just started. It just happened. Am I going to claim that we started it? Well, no. We stole it off of somebody else. I highly doubt Ammon Amarth stole it off of us, but you know what? If they want to fight about it, sick, cool, let's do it.
They're pretty well known and have got pretty big fan base. I think that.
Oh yeah, look, they could probably kick the shit out of us. Not gonna lie, those dudes are literally Vikings. Like they would probably kick the absolute crap out of us. Hey, fuck it, why not?
Dude,
I'll scream like a little girl and run. Yeah, no worries.
I just want to shake their hand.
I don't think I could do it. I couldn't go up to an international band and just shake their hand and be like, this is actually more daunting than going up to an Australian band and doing it. Because I think in Australia, everyone's just like, oh yeah, come up and say hello sort of thing. Like international bands, it's sort of more like, holy shit, this band is huge. And then obviously, like, I don't know what I'd do if I walked past Winston McCall from Parkway Drive. I'd just be like, whoa, and just freeze. Because, like, being a huge fan of Parkway since I was, like, 16, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I 100% agree. So one of my one of my all-time favorite bands are The Used. And like I've always loved Burt McCracken. I love his voice. I love the way he attacks, songs. I just a massive Used fan. And yeah, one of the bands I played in, we got the opportunity to play Taste of Chaos, and we were actually able to stand side stage to watch The Used. And seeing Bert walk past you, having the drummer actually watching your set and saying, "You guys, I really enjoyed that. You guys are sick," and like just absolutely filled your heart up with so much joy. And then like just seeing Bert just controlling an audience, just absolute. I've never seen someone like just having that opportunity of just it was always going to stick in my mind. And the like just walking off of stage and then him coming back and shooting me a cheeky smile and then just leaning in and just seeing the house lights go up and just blow up and him doing the the crocodile chomp and all that sort of stuff. And like it was just like that this is I'm done. Nothing can beat this. This is my like watching my hero do the best, the best thing I've ever seen. Like it's absolutely amazing.
Mm. Well, I mean, the used, like, I'm not, like, I am a punk emo fan, but probably not as big as other people. But there's four bands in punk emo that I could listen to weekly. Obviously, the used, old school used, I could just listen to.
Mm,
Anything before Lies for the Liars, just on repeat. Like,
mm,
In Love and Death, I mean, that's an amazing album from start to finish. The
mm,
first album, even up to Taste of Ink, I could probably tolerate. But
mm.
yeah, it's sort of just yeah, when you, as you said, Brendan, with getting to play the same show or on the same lineup as someone like Burt McCracken, who
Mm.
obviously is a huge influence on your old band and yourself. I mean, that's money can't buy experience.
I couldn't bring myself to say hello to him though.
It's
I
a,
like he walked past me and I was just starstruck. Like it was yeah, I was just like like I can't do it. And like he just like smiles and like looks at you and you're just like there was an opportunity just to like but then what to go like wow, do you understand that this album completely changed my life? Do you understand that you know Taste of Ink was just absolutely incredible. On the cross, I love that song. Yeah, it was, but no, just straight past.
yeah, it's I'd be in your I'd be there. Like, I'd be the one that would just. There's a famous person walk in front of me, and I'd be just like, nah, I can't do it. I know people that do it, but I'd be just the chicken shit at the back of the line, just like, nah, I'll go watch another band instead of meeting my favourite artist and regret
Mm.
it every day, pretty much.
I actually went to a what do you call it? So when we had Frost and Fury down here, and they had Fear Factory down, and I'm a massive Fear Factory. Dino, I've just been an absolute fan of his, and I went to his guitar clinic. And like so he played like a little guitar clinic where he just talked about, guitars, riffs he plays and songwriting and everything like that. And it was just absolutely incredible. I couldn't I couldn't go up to him afterwards and get anything signed by him or anything. I was just like, I'm just too overwhelmed at this particular point. Like, yeah, this guy's. I mean, I got one of what do you call it, his signature picks, was absolutely phenomenal and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, I was like, all right, well, yeah, just can't do it. Gotta go.
Uh, those Froth and Fury, the last two Froth and Fury lineups have been insane. Like, last year's was good, but 2023 is the one I regret I didn't go to when it had Sunk Lotto, Butterfly Effect, Suicidal Tendencies, Mirrors, Ocean Sleeper. It was just like, this is like this is my ultimate lineup. It's
Yeah.
just, yeah.
Mate, Sunk Loto. I hate to rub salt in those wounds, but Sunk Loto absolutely destroyed it. Those guys are absolute titans. It was phenomenal.
Their latest, the two singles they released in their comeback, God Complex and oh, I've gone blank, Gallows Weight.
Gallows.
Yeah, that's. I knew God Complex. I was like, what the hell's the other song called? I've listened to that much. Yeah, Gallows Way, probably still to this day, probably my favourite Sunk Lotto song. Even though I
Mm.
did love Vinegar Stroke back in the days and um, 5 Years of Silence, Sunken Eyes. I think just when I heard the Gallows Way, I'm like, this is what I remember about Sunk Lotto, how fucking awesome they are and
Yeah,
still are.
a- absolutely.
Oh,
Because I
yeah,
remember.
they were insane. It was just like Test Eagles this year, though. Like that was
Mm.
another member berry set that was just incredible.
Yeah. And I missed Sunk Lotto at Max Watts last year as well. No, sorry, 2 years ago. I was like, I'm never going to see him now. But
Didn't
anyway.
it sell out in like an hour at Max Watts?
Yeah, well, and
I think
Max.
a lot of people missed out on that.
The thing is, Tim, also with Max Watts, it's not like 100 capacity venue. We're talking 800 people
Yeah, I know.
capacity.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh,
look, that was probably the biggest tour, one of the biggest Australian tours, like, for that sort of level band. That was probably one of the biggest tours of that year, though, because it
And
was
I,
just one of those ones that people just didn't expect. I think everyone, because it was so long between the first show of the comeback and the other shows, I don't think people actually expected it to be more than one show.
mm.
Mm.
And also, after 20 years, like, because for those that don't know, they did that tour because of it was 20 years since Between Birth and Death, because it was 2023, Between Birth and Death came out in 2003. I think a lot of people who are sort of my age would think when I was a young adult, that was the album that everyone was listening to. And well, to a degree, Killing with a Smile was sort of starting to get some publicity and begins here by Butterfly Effect. But really, at that stage, that album Between Birth and Death was the new metal sound most Aussies were listening to at that stage.
Oh, yeah,
and also the sonic
100%.
leap they made. Like, what you call it? What was the album before that? That was
That wasn't, no, not Big Picture Lies. That was the, or was it?
yeah, that was Big Picture
No, it was
Eyes.
Big Picture Lies, yeah.
Yeah, and like um, I mean that was great. Like, however, that change that they made was just absolutely insane. It was like and I think it was for me it was unexpected because I remember them playing Warp Tour at Memorial Drive, and this was before they actually dropped that album. And they actually like started playing songs from that album, and I was just like, "What is this? This is so well structured. It is so intense. Jason's just absolutely killing those hooks. Like I'm walking away remembering the songs. I'm like, what? Like literally one of those shows where you're just like, what was that, and how can I hear more of it?"
Mm. And those are the shows that stick in your mind for years.
I was just like, these guys are gonna blow Australia apart. Like, when that album drops, and for me, it was one of the most anticipated releases because after hearing that, I was just like, no one's doing this like this or as well. I mean, you had was it Behind Crimson Eyes who were doing
Oh
something
yeah.
very sort of similar at that time, but still, then they had their own spin on it, and it was so like it was just so relatable but unique. Oh man, I got nothing but good things to say about that. That was just so good.
And you could almost argue now that the new metal in Australia is sort of making a comeback. Like it probably never went out of fashion, but like bands like Ocean Grove coming back into it and Northland has sort of gone down that path as well. And
Mm.
well, it's worked for both of them. They've become huge here in Australia, especially Northland the last 5 years. They've almost become second to Parkway.
Yeah, and then you even got what Alpha Wolf were doing.
Mm.
And what's called their throwbacks to the new metal gods like Korn and a lot of those are even you can hear some sort of like those old school sort of Machine Head things coming into it as well. You're like, oh, okay, like, oh, that I get that. Like some pretty unique sort of corn chords that they have like going through there. And you're like, oh, this is still pretty badass. Like,
No. Oh, new metal. And you're talking my language. Both of you, like, sunk lotto, got into new metal. Like, I can't. Oh, maybe Slipknot, debut album. That sort of got me into the new metal side. But then, yeah, Follow the Leader was probably the first real album, and new metal was like, holy shit.
yeah, yeah. And the Family Values tour.
Yeah.
My goodness. Wow, what a what a good what you call it, what a good time. And yeah, I'm a massive Limp Bizkit fan. Wes Borland is just the absolute king. Like, when growing up, like Monkey and Head, absolutely loved what you call it, what they were doing on guitar, Monkey with all the crazy different noises that he was making on his guitar and yeah, then Wes as well, rethinking how to navigate himself around that thing and just playing so hard but so tight, like, and also just their stage presence and performance. It was just so wild, man. Like,
Yep.
yeah, dude, love it.
Oh, nostalgia. It's being
Mm.
brought into the podcast. I'm thinking, what haven't we covered? Nostalgia. Um, oh, shit. Is it an hour already? Far out. That didn't feel like an hour, actually. It felt like about 1 minute, as it generally does with Those Left Behind and every other interview. And we've only
Yeah, we're
asked
cool like that.
only 2 questions in an hour. Gee, better get through a few more, otherwise this could go for a while. All right, well, we've sort of heard what does 2025 hold in store for Those Left Behind. New single on the way, maybe an EP, an LP, so that's sort of crossed that question off. Favourite song to perform live? Favourite song to perform live?
Ah, probably the next single, or Cute Day with Death, or Ouroboros, to be perfectly honest with you. Choking on Life's still a lot of fun to play live too.
Yeah, I'd
Yeah,
probably, yeah, I'd probably reiterate that they're probably my top three. Yeah, Cute Day, Oro, and yeah, can't, yeah, Cute Day, Oro, and Choking. So throwback to the first song the band ever wrote. Still one of the best ones. We made a few different tweaks to it as well, which gives it a little bit of
just
a
brought
little,
back the fun to it. So it got
yeah,
stale for a bit there.
yeah, made it a little bit more punk rock hardcorey. So
Well,
yeah.
we even dropped it for a little bit at one period live because it did get a bit stale. And then when we brought it back better and yeah.
Because that was the first song I actually discovered from Those Left Behind, because I actually bought it off Bandcamp of all places.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Because Bandcamp, even though they still don't treat their artists as well as some other platforms, I'd still prefer buy music off Bandcamp than Spotify. Because, you get to buy the single, and I used to play it on the podcast. Actually, Those Left Behind were probably, at one stage, the most played band on the podcast, I think.
Nice. Thank you. Nice.
Because I think I just loved the sound, and at that stage, most of the bands I was listening to were from Melbourne, and I think Disgust, Those Left Behind, and Signals were the first 3 interstate bands that I actually stumbled across. I'm like, why haven't I discovered Signals or Those Left Behind or Disgust earlier? But then again, Signals had only just dropped their EP. And they've only been around since 2021, so in fairness, I didn't miss much of the beginning.
Signals have been around since 2020, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, they played one of their first shows with us, ironically enough, at the end of 2020. Not long after they released their first single, at the first stand-up show back after restrictions at Enigma.
Restrictions, yes. I don't think it takes a genius to know what word we're talking about there.
Yeah. But yeah, so they started playing shows in 2020 actually, and they dropped their first single in 2022. I'm pretty sure.
Okay. Because I reckon I interviewed the whole band. Actually, no, you're right, Tim, because I interviewed them back in 2020.
Yeah,
So, oh, well, yeah, there.
I think that was how I discovered you actually. Was checking out their interview with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because back then they were young guys, like Caleb and Conan and that had only just finished high school. And
Oh yeah, a couple of them weren't even 18 yet,
yeah.
from
But
memory.
no, I'm a huge Signals fan, and that latest EP they dropped last year. I
Mm,
mean,
mm.
Disgrace is still probably my favourite EP, but I think that's as good as their debut EP.
Oh yeah, yeah. Look, they are just they have always been such a good band. You know, yeah. Just from the get go, they just had something,
Yeah.
and they've worked so hard and so well. You know.
Also, the other thing is being in Adelaide or South Australia, like the scene here in Melbourne and Sydney, I think we're spoiled because there's a lot more opportunity in that. But it's so good to see so much talent coming out of South Australia at the moment in all genres. Like we've spoken about Signals and Suffer, Those Left Behind, Alt. Like there's something for everyone in South Australia at the moment, and in Australia for that matter in itself, which is
Mm,
awesome to see.
mm. It's good to see the scene back to thriving again, as opposed to limping by. It's unfortunate that the venues are limping by and the numbers are slowing down at shows because, money's getting stretched pretty tightly for everyone. But the passion is still well and truly there,
Mm.
for a lot of people.
And
And it's good.
I keep saying, everyone's like, "Oh, I'll get to the next show. I'll get to the next show." And I've said, just don't think about it. Go to the next show, because some of these venues, and we talked about Whole Lot of Love like about half an hour ago. I mean, a venue like that closing, Bendigo Hotel closed for 6 months. Thankfully, it's
Yeah.
reopened, but these venues need everyone to get out there and support the scene.
Oh yeah, I mean in Adelaide we lost 3 venues last year. Over the last 2 years, maybe 4. You know, yeah, and it's certainly not getting easier. But it just is what it is at the moment. This year's going to be a bit harder as well because international tours have really, really come back with a vengeance. So that takes quite a bit out of the show economy. People going to the internationals and stuff. You go to let's face it, you go see Corn. There's a before you've even bought your concert ticket. There's a $150, $200 night between a couple of drinks, some dinner, and a t-shirt
Minimum.
and parking.
Mm.
Yeah.
Which takes a fair bit out of the people going to local shows. Um, yeah, and I mean, it will swing up again and it will get better, but times are still tough all round. And how many we've got more bands than we did before as well. And yeah, how many venues are we going to lose before things start to swing up? Well, yeah, it's one of those things.
Yeah.
Like you got to pick when to slow down and stuff. As I said, when things will get better, but at times there's just no point in flogging a dead horse. Like I can guarantee unless we say pick up a support for an international, we probably won't play another show in Adelaide. And bear in mind, I'm Not a Burden on Saturday is actually our first CBD show in 12 months. We may not actually play another CBD show for maybe another 6 months because we're going to be busy ourselves.
Yep.
Yeah, we're going to quite a few of these shows ourselves. But also B, it's going to be very hard for bands for the first 3 or 4 months of this year to pull really good numbers.
Yes.
Right? Just because there's that much else going on.
And I think we've had, I've had this conversation and I've heard a lot of people say it is, a lot of people would rather spend $200 for, say, Korn or Bring Me the Horizon, Architects, whoever the international band is, than, say, pay a quarter of that, even a sixth of that, and see 5 local bands down at the local pub. It, and then you hear whinging about people saying, "Oh, I paid $200 and it wasn't what I was expecting." Like, I don't know how you change that, or if you can.
Oh, so here's the other side of the coin to that, though. A lot of the people who are going to these $200 shows and such, either they're young people who have grown up listening to it from their parents, or it's their parents who now lead adult lives where they're working Monday to Friday and stuff. And, yes, they're spending, they'd rather spend $200 on a ticket for a big international act, but they're paying for the memory.
Yep.
And they're paying for the nostalgia and member berries. They're not, it's no way that they're saying that these bands are better or anything than the locals going on, but this is an experience and a time and place and a piece of history for them. It's not just going to see a band. I went to Corn at the end of last year, and I went to Parkway last year, and those shows were absolutely phenomenal. And I'm not gonna lie, they were member berry shows for me. They were, just like seeing Limp Bizkit and Fall Out Boy at Good Things. It's about the experience of seeing and recapturing that memory and that piece of, your youth again. There's a lot more factors that play into, I think, especially with your nostalgia bands.
Yep.
There's a lot more factors that play into it than the whole just going to see a band. Seeing Korn was just not just seeing a band.
Mm.
Me, anyway. It was, something very special to me. And I still go see local bands a lot when I can. But there's just something different about a big production show like that. As I said, you're not paying to see some bands. You are paying for a show and an experience and a memory.
Yeah, 100%. Sorry, go on.
It's not about not supporting, bands or whatever, because it's not even about going to see Korn at Parkway wasn't about supporting Korn still financially or whatever. It was about that time and that place and going back in time and place, and I felt like I was grinning like a stupid 16-year-old all again when I went and saw Korn. And I think the people who sit there and say, "Oh, you'd rather do this and spend this," and it's like, well, yeah, but you're only looking at that from one side of the coin, and that's just from the sheer supporting music coin. But for a show like that, it's a completely different kettle of fish. It's like going to see a play. You know, it's yeah. Then as far as I'm concerned, they're not even in the same category. You know.
Yeah, I think it comes also down to like the show like that for me was Story of the Year. Not only was it, the Page Avenue tour, which was an album that completely changed my life, um, but it changed a lot of my friends' lives. And I caught up and I saw friends that I hadn't seen in 10 years. And also, like, that was the CD that was all in our cars that we were blasting, and we were all talking about them when we were in our early 20s. And like, yeah, that one was just, my heart was so full at the end of that gig. And like, and also they didn't need to put on the show that they did, but there's a reason why that they're at that level and have been at that level for, for so long. Is because they play their heart out every single gig. And I'll put that more on the onus of like local bands. Like, if there's one person or if there's like 100 people, like, you see the old Parkway videos, like they're playing in front of not that many people, but they're throwing down like absolute crazy. And that's the reason why they got there, is like every single show was their last. And like, it puts the onus on those local bands, and like, it puts the onus on us. Like we've reviewed and we've watched videos and we're like, what can we do to make our live show better? Um, and yeah, there's a reason why that those bands have made a career out of it. Like music, rock is paying the rent. Like they put the time in, they've put the effort in, and they're just that good.
Mm.
No, that's a totally different side of the coin. But you both make very valid points, and like, I mean, yeah, it's the nostalgia part of it, or in what Brenden was saying, story of the year, like seeing friends you hadn't seen in 10 years, the music that you were listening to growing up when you were 20 and all that. I mean, that holds memories in your heart forever, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
And look, it was right at the start of that emo rock movement. That was fresh. That was our grunge. That was our movement. That was art. Like, we're all, 35, 40 years old now. That was our time of music. Like, and look, I go to local shows and I appreciate what I'm seeing, and like, but I'm not part of that. Like, I've been there and I've gone through that wave, and that was the thing. That was the genre of music that I put my entire whole heart and soul, and related most to me at that particular point in time. I can appreciate the musicianship, and I love the energy, and I love the scene that that's being built here in Adelaide. And you love being part of it, but when you're 20 and just so full of hope and not worrying about as many bills and kids and all that sort of stuff, you can throw your whole heart into it.
No. Yes, 20 years ago. Yeah. I'm feeling old now. Like, everyone's like, a big one next year. I'm like, thanks, I don't need to be reminded I'm 40 next year.
Oh, mate, I turned 40 late last year in December, so I'm with you.
It's just like, oh, I was back, everyone's like, oh, they're telling me corn stuff, like, follow the lead, and they're like, oh, I was like, 12 years old when this song came out. How old were you? And I was like, well, when Corn first started, I was only 8. So do the maths there, how old I was when self-titled come out. So, I mean, yeah.
I felt old because in a work group chat, they were like putting up a thing. I'm like, oh, well, top 3 New Year songs, and I put up my I put up my top 3. No one pretty much knew who they were.
When I mention local bands, everyone's just like, who, and who? And I'm like, really? And like, one of these bands I said, and big in Melbourne, and starting to make it big internationally, by the name of Future Static, and one person at work knew who Future Static were.
Mm.
And it was just like, really? Future Static are the biggest band out of this state right at the moment. Like, no offense to Last Martyr and Ocean Sleeper and all those guys, they're huge. But Future Static have done things like overseas. They've played so many gigs and festivals, and you don't know who Future Static are at the moment.
Don't worry too much about that. When I was in the office, I had Pantera on in my headphones, and someone was asking, "What do you listen to?" I'm like, "Oh, a band called Pantera," and they're like, "Oh, who's that?" And I'm like,
Really?
"You're not gonna like it."
You're taking the cake there, Brendan. If someone doesn't know who Pantera is, far out. Even I know who Pantera are. Fucking, they haven't heard of
By the way,
Cowboys.
guys, I had to cut this short, but I got to get going. I'm going to give my daughter a call.
Oh, all right, all
But
right.
yeah, Sammy, it's always great talking to you. Sorry for leaving you stuck with Brendan for the rest of this.
Oh no, that's all right, Timmy. There's plenty of content. Just before you go, Tim, this will be uploaded probably Saturday morning. I'm hoping before I head to Melbourne. So,
Yeah, cool.
and I'll share a Spotify playlist with Ouroboros. What were the other two songs? Negative, Ouroboros, and Pain. So you actually get 3 features, Tim.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
So, yeah, and feel free to share it around. It's always a pleasure chatting to you, Tim. You know that.
Oh, mate, I always love chatting to you, mate. As I said, I'm sorry to cut it short, but yeah.
Well, it's not that short. It's
That
been going
duty's
for
cool.
nearly an hour and a half, Tim. That's not short by any means.
Remember our last conversation went through over 3 hours?
Yeah, okay, all right. Well, I don't think I'm going to be able to do 3 hours tonight.
No. But yeah, always great talking to you, dude. I'll talk to you soon, all right, man?
Yeah, all the best, and thanks for jumping on, Tim. As always,
Absolutely,
it's a
mate. Love you,
pleasure.
brother.
No worries. I'll chat to Brendan for a little while longer, and we'll wrap it up in about 15, 20 minutes or so.
Have fun with that, mate.
Will do. Now do we talk bad about Tim? No, I'm joking. All right. Well, Brendan, I've got one more question for you, and then the roles get reversed. Brendan has the floor after this.
Right.
So I'm a bit worried. A few questions that have been asked have been out of left field, so I don't know what to expect. So, but the last question is, where do you see Those Left Behind in 5 years' time?
Hopefully still going. So I guess for what we're doing, it really is a passion project, and it really is like, a bunch of guys. It really just came about it like a bunch of dudes like me and Wade, by joining the band, like we had our own little project going, and him and me just hanging out in a like studio and just writing songs. And that's where it sort of was. And essentially we had hung up the boots, and we were in our retirement. We still love writing music and working with people. However, I think we were pretty content. We were like, we're probably not going to play a live show ever again. We're just going to sit here. We're going to write and maybe release music if it's any good. And then the bass player left from Those Left Behind, and Timmy asked me to fill in. So I jumped on there. The guitarist I was working with at that particular time wasn't working out. And it just sort of like rekindled, my passion for working with the project. And also taking on a genre and a style of music that I hadn't, like, I was in a band called Deception Bay for a little while. That was, sort of similar. So still metalcore-y, but it was really just taking on just a different project that I hadn't really delved into deep, and really spent time writing songs in this. I've always loved this genre, but I haven't really spent that time working on a band writing in this genre. So I just want to still be releasing like cool music that people dig, and playing cool shows, and just having like a good time. So mate, like, I'm a pretty simple bloke and got pretty simple needs, and as long as the music's good and we're having fun, I think just keep releasing and writing. Really, that's about it. Got no real sort of ambitions of taking over the world, traveling, doing anything like that with the band. I've got more of a just writing sick riffs and just climbing the top of Riff Mountain.
Yep. Well, And those are all goals that are achievable. I mean, and if you're still loving what you're doing in 5 years' time, why stop?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've always had that sort of idea. Is like, I don't like music's so ingrained into, part of what I'm doing. Like, it's funny because like, I'll always be working on like songs and sending songs through, and Wayne was very similar as well. It's like, on annual leave we'll take annual leave, but we'll take annual leave and spend the entire day like working together and writing music. And it's just like, well, you got like, and like, this is what we find fun. Like, we work our day jobs so we've got opportunity. We get up early so we can carve out time in our day to be able to do this. Like, this is something that's like, this is what we find fun.
Hmm. And other people that would be on annual leave would probably do something other than writing music if you weren't in a band.
Yeah, exactly right. Like, and look, it's all what you find fun. It's like, do you have any plans to like? I always get asked, do you have any plans to go away? I'm like, I'm just psyched to sit there with my guitar and just riff out and see what happens, see what comes up. Like that's my idea of a good day.
And a cheaper option.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't because you end up then going and buying a new guitar
Oh,
because
yes.
I'm not going away. I can then what you call it, whatever that trip was going to cost me. I'm like, oh, you're spending way too much time. I'm like, you know what I need? I need Nevertune. All right, well, yeah, this isn't holding my tunings well, and all right, and like people are talking about Evertunes and they're great to record with. I'm like, all right, well, Evertune it is. Like,
Yeah, I'd forgotten, of course, with the instruments. Yeah, if you've not gone on a holiday but have purchased a new guitar or a new drum set or whatever it may be, yeah, that does cost money and a lot of it too.
yes, yeah.
But
Well,
yeah, well, it's like obviously being in a band. From time to time, you do need to upgrade equipment. You can't just say, "I'll just use the same equipment for the next 10 years. It will get me through it."
you could, but I won't. Like you buy a good quality guitar, and like, you know that can, like, if you're spending a good dollar on some of like the classics and all that sort of stuff, like, you know they can last you for 10 years, 100%. If you're happy with that tone, I flip out my pickups all the time, so I've got one. So I mean, you're always making modifiers and changes and all that sort of stuff to it. However, I do like new and shiny stuff. So like, yeah, when I was like, oh, I love playing V's. I love playing V's live, but they're not my daily driver. So that means, my standard one's just a standard body guitar, so I can sit down, and when I'm just like, practicing my like technique, or if I'm just like practicing the set, I'm just on that one. But then yeah, the V's more for what I like play live, and I'm like, yep, no, that looks sick, and I'm like, oh, what happens if I get another V for live? Like,
And like lots of things, once you buy one, then you're like, "Oh, I'll just not buy another." Then you end up with three or four, and then the collection just grows and grows and grows.
yep, 100%.
It's like merch. I keep saying, don't buy merch at every show, Sam. Running out of closet space, you can't fit much more, and no, never happens.
Yeah, I look at my closet space and I'm just like, do I have any t-shirts that aren't black? Like,
I remember someone saying this to me. They go, "I hardly ever see you wear anything else but a band shirt." And like, yeah, that sums it up pretty well.
yeah. Isn't that the thing? Like every single time you're like, oh, I got to, you got to dress nice because we're going out. I'm like, okay. I'm like, oh, I don't have anything. But the only other thing, like, I've either got work shirts or I've got this because I have to wear like, a collar and like a long sleeve for work. So I'm like, I guess I'm gonna wear a work shirt today then.
Oh, I wish there was a way you can mute the notifications thing going off on Facebook without muting hearing what Brendan is saying because it's going off like nuts. So if people are hearing background noises, that is what it is in the last minute or so.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice.
But nah. But yeah, merch is my weakness. If I see merch, I buy it.
Nice, nice.
The only I've got to get a Those Left Behind t-shirt. I should purchase
Oh,
one over Cartel or something. You've got a link tree or something, wouldn't you? Or merch store?
uh, I just handle the YouTube. Timmy handles all that sort of stuff. We'll sort you out. We'll get you one. What size are you?
Large.
Large. All right, we'll sort you out. We'll
Yeah.
get you something.
I won't give you my details over WebEx, obviously.
Yeah, that could be a bit strange.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure in the copyright laws of YouTube, I'm pretty sure it says something about don't give out credit card details.
Smart, smart. Yeah.
Actually, before I started this YouTube channel, Brendan, I had to read through all the terms and conditions before you started the YouTube channel. I'm like, I'm not going to read all this, man.
I manage our YouTube channel now,
Yep.
and yeah, I haven't read all that, so probably going to get us like in trouble or something, put us in YouTube jail or something.
Oh, I don't think you will. Like, I've said some weird shit on 4 episodes already, and it hasn't got me banned, so I don't
Nice.
see. And also, I think the theory is there is an option when I post this video where it says, does this contain bad language or inappropriate stuff? And I'll just put, yes, it does involve inappropriate language because I'm a bad swearer.
No, this
Probably
is not
worse
for
than
kids.
everyone, yeah. But no, but a lot of the stuff we're talking about is obviously suitable. 90% of it.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
90% of it is relevant. Sam's 10% is irrelevant sometimes. Oh, oh, gee, I better get that mouse click away from the end recording. I don't want to end it just yet. All right, so Sam's asked Brenden and Tim some questions. Now the roles get reversed and Brenden has the floor. So if there's anything you want to ask me, now's the time.
What grinds your gears at a local show?
Oh, I've got to be really careful here, don't I?
Aha, gotcha.
I like the question. You know what really grinds my gears at local shows? And it's not everyone, and I do it myself, is the people that talk during the set.
Mm-hmm.
Because it happens too often, and people are like, I went to a gig a few weeks ago. I won't mention the venue or the gig, but I was watching the band, and the 2 people behind me were literally chatting throughout the first set of the band playing. I'm just like, go outside.
Surely they wouldn't be able to hear what they're saying.
Well, well, I was close enough that I could actually hear it.
Oh, the sound guy needs to turn the what you call it, PA up then.
So, yeah, I've got to be careful how I said that, but the ones that just stand there and talk and don't watch the show, that's what grinds my gears.
Yes, yeah.
Is there anything else? I don't think there is, really.
You know what grinds my gears about Melbourne shows?
What's that?
The car parking.
Oh, I was waiting for that.
Oh man, it is yeah. We played a few day shows there, and I think I had to move the car like every I want to say every 3 hours, but I think it was less. I think it was like every 2 hours. So I had to set a timer, and I'm like running back and forth, just like having to move the car. We couldn't find anything close to the venue, so we're just lugging all our stuff. That was just that was a rough time.
I think curfews may be another one that grinds my gears, that venues have curfews in Melbourne, especially some of the ones I've been to where there's literally no apartment blocks nearby, but they close at a certain time. It's just like, if these people had moved there knowing that they were living next to a live venue, like...
Yeah. See, for me, I don't half mind that because if we've played a few past 12 o'clock time slots, and I'm pretty keen to go to bed by that particular point. Like I'm generally pretty exhausted by then, so
Okay. Oh,
I'm normally in bed at like 10 o'clock anyway most days, so
Okay. Well, that's a new one. I've never been asked what grinds my gears with local gigs, and I
uh
probably won't be the most popular person on Saturday after the talking to other people during the set. But yeah,
oh, so I got ya.
yes. But outside of that, I love going to live music, and there's a lot of good things about live music. I love seeing bands, catching up with bands, just
Hmm,
having a good time. Even the traveling doesn't bother me in the
hmm.
slightest, really.
It's a fun part of it, isn't it? Like yeah, I love going and seeing like, live and local music and um yeah, it's good. I just like chatting with like-minded individuals. Like, I find sometimes in your day-to-day lives and jobs, especially if you're super passionate about something, like, if you're super passionate about something, you almost like you start talking about music and number one, it's kind of hard to find bands that you actually relate with someone over, or but then generally I'll talk to them about their favorite artists and all that sort of stuff. But I love getting into the X's and O's about music and about songwriting, about recordings, and also music history as well, and how influential certain bands were at certain points in time, and also the different like music movements and like what that actually meant and how relevant, and also how relevant certain artists were. So I'm very much a music history buff.
Yep.
Um, Sometimes, someone might say, "Oh, I really love Nirvana." I'm like, "Yeah, hell, Nirvana wasn't that the death of glam metal music, and wasn't that just a sign for the times and all that sort of stuff?" They're like, "Oh, I just like tells smells like Teen Spirit." And I'm like, "Ah, cool."
Uh,
Probably came off pretty full on here.
yeah, when some people, I like talking with Nirvana, like, and then I get into like Heart Shaped Box, Anything Off in Utero, and some of the
Yeah.
lesser known songs. Everyone's like, oh, what about Smells Like Teen Spirit? I'm like, oh, again.
Uh, but then again, like they was just capturing lightning in a bottle, just a voice of a society who was downtrodden, and also a group of people that wasn't being listened to. So it was a revolution. Like
Yeah,
it was insane. And like once again, like it circles back to that point. As much as I love Nirvana, I'm not gonna get it as much as the people were there when that was released. I can still appreciate that. Um, but like it comes back down to probably one of the other big ones was Blink's self-titled album, and how much I anticipated that, and I had it on order. And I remember it was Saturday Music that I ended up going and buying it from, and I had it on order, and it was still wrapped in its case. And it was after work, and I went and picked it up, and I was like worked 30 minutes away from home, and I'm like driving, and I didn't want to put it in my car speakers
yeah,
because I wanted to get that full experience, and I like put it on, like open it up, smelled. And I think this is one thing, is the smell of a freshly minted
yes.
CD. Like it's just something else. And then like going through, looking at all the cover art, going into the stories about how all the songs were written, and you're just like listening to that song. It's like there are certain songs in your life you remember exactly where you were when you heard it.
Yeah.
And like, oh, I still remember listening to that album in its entirety from start to finish on my bedroom floor, listening through my Panasonic speakers, which I just thought was sick. So like, yeah, just certain albums, like, first time, big ones of those is like first time I heard Clown by
Oh,
what you call it,
Corn.
Corn.
Yeah.
Like, first time I heard that, I was just like, instantly related to that, just absolutely loved it, or some of the other big ones, probably some stuff off of, Wait and Bleed, Surfacing as well. Like first time hearing Joey Jordan just blows your mind.
Yeah.
I just like, who is this guy? What is this? This is the best thing I've ever heard in the world. Like, and I loved Joey when I was growing up. It was just, yeah, that dude was just the goat.
And yeah, probably in my top three hardest hitting deaths in music of the last 5 years,
Yeah,
Joey. Or probably the last 10 years, only probably Cornell and Bennington hit me harder.
yeah, yeah, but yeah, Chester was probably, and also the manner of how that actually happens, like, was probably a little bit more, uh, but you go back and you listen to his lyrics, and he was just such a like disturbed soul. Like
Mm.
everything came through his songwriting, but he was just the best. He sung like a, screamed like a demon and sung like a seraphim. He was just and then had a like mid-range, like, gravel as well, just like, and then his lyric writing was just perfect. Like, yeah,
Mm.
you just can't get past it. Like, arguably one of the best, and also once again part of a what you call it, a new movement of new metal.
Yep.
Uh, they got a bad rap because they were like they bit safe and a bit soft,
Mm.
like when they first sort of came out. But and look, not wrong. Um, but they were just also that talented.
Yep.
Like their songs were that great.
Mm. And I mean, Hybrid Theory for me was an album that was like an album that I grew up listening to. I remember playing that album to death. I think One Step Closer just,
Mm,
it didn't get past One Step Closer for so long because at the time, Paper Cut and One Step Closer were my favourite Linkin Park songs.
yes. Yeah.
And then I
Well,
obviously found Point of Authority in the end,
yeah.
trolling, but
Yeah. Far Out Crawling. I can't remember. There was a B-side called My December. I
that's
can't remember
right.
what one. Then that was just, I was just like, my goodness, like I'm falling in love with a completely different genre of music. Because up until then, it was all like, Machine Head, Slipknot, um, Fear Factory,
Probably,
Cold Chamber,
yeah,
like,
Drowning Pool, Static
oh,
X.
oh yeah, Static X, Metallica, Pantera. So it was all about that, and I'm like, nah, this is soft, nah, too, nah, nah, not. And you just like, you just gave it a listen. You're just like, I think I'm gonna go listen to Incubus now.
Old school Incubus. Not that I had anything negative to say about the albums that followed Morning View, but anything Morning View backwards is
Yeah,
absolute genius. Incubus, like Make Yourself, still one of the best albums of the 90s.
that
Pardon
song,
me, Stella.
Pardon Me, yeah, dude, and like the acoustic version of Pardon Me, like
Yeah.
too good, just too good.
No. Well, I remember one CD I had, and it was called Heavy Shift. It was a Channel
Mm,
3 Heavy Shift compilation. And at the time, I looked at like some of the bands, and this is no disrespect to Incubus or Grinspoon, because I love both bands, but it
mm,
was called Heavy Shift. Now, me, the song they chose for Grinspoon, I wouldn't have classed as metal, because it was rock
yeah.
show. Had they
Oh
gone
yeah.
champion or post inebriated, I would have said, okay, yeah, I can see where they're going.
Yeah. Was Lost Control out by that time? Because that song
That was
slaps.
heavy. That was
It
actually one of
slaps.
the heaviest songs of theirs.
That those drops and everything. I still remember them hearing that live. That was like just once of those just real like four to the floor,
Yeah.
like just absolutely just like okay, no, all right, you bet. Like
What was the I've missed a song off Guide to Better Living? Not Just Ace, the other really big song off that album. Not
DCX3.
That's the one.
Yeah.
Like that to me got me into Grinspoon.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Like, yes, to an extent more than you are in Just Ace, but I think
Mm.
Dead Cat Times 3 just, yeah, there's
Yeah.
something about that song.
Oh, I reckon that was probably one of the first riffs I like. That's when I was just discovering Drop D, and I was like, yes, awesome. I want to play this, and I want to play fast. Like,
Oh, Grinspoon. Yeah, they're probably an act on my list of non-metal bands over the last 30 years I could just sit there and listen to on repeat
oh
easily.
yeah. I just really like the way Phil Jamison just went about business as well. He was just a badass man. Like he was just a loose unit. It was just so good. And like seeing him live, and like it was just like I can see why everyone loves this band because the music is so solid, and he is a fantastic frontman.
Mm. And from Lismore, like a lot of the big names out of, well, actually, I shouldn't say that. A lot of the big names out of New South Wales are generally from Sydney because there's a so called band called Parkway Drive from Byron Bay that have done
Yeah.
pretty well for themselves.
Done quite well, yes.
And,
Absolutely.
and Trophy Eyes and Silverchair from Newcastle. So not all the big names from New South
Mm.
Wales are from Sydney.
Yep. Yes. Yeah. Uh, yeah. Fire would produce some fantastic music here in Australia.
Yes, and I feel like it's only going to get bigger and better. There's so many bands that could be the next big thing in Australia.
Yeah, I mean, like this is the thing. It's like we've got such a good tradition of it. Like, there's some absolute titans out there, isn't it? Isn't it like who's going to be the next one like are going to step in? Who's going to be, the people who are going to, fill those headlining acts? Like who's going to be able to come through, Australia? And like you can see with like Amateur Fiction, like here they played Memorial Drive, and it was like wow, that's a big venue.
Yep.
And they did it. They did it really, really well. Parkway Drive, playing the entertainment center and put on a performance I've never seen. Like I have never ever seen anything like that. That like it was an absolutely mind blowing. I've never seen anything not only of that production level, but pulled off that well. I'm just once again like go back to that sort of conversation we're having about tickets. Like that was worth the price of admission. That
Yeah.
was that was entertainment.
Mm.
Like that's genuine entertainment. Like I don't know if they would have made any money on it, but bloody hell, I was entertained, and it was one of the best shows of like in regards to shows. It was probably the best show that I've actually ever seen.
Well, and as I said earlier, those are the ones that stick in your mind and are memories that you can't erase, really.
I don't know. I don't know how anyone else can top it. I honestly don't. That was just so insane. Like it was insane. It was just so crazy. Like yeah.
Oh, well, we've nearly been talking for 2 hours, and I just realised the meeting cuts off in like 12 minutes. Shit, okay. That's not my fault. I'm scheduled for 8 till 10 just to be on the safe side. But this is the only part of the interview I don't like, Brenden, is when the chat has to end because I just want this to keep going. But as I have always enjoyed having Brenden and Tim on separate podcasts, it's been an absolute pleasure as always, Brenden.
Oh, mate, it's always an absolute pleasure. I love just sitting here talking shop, talking music, mate. This is some of the coolest things about music and the local scene as well. Because without it, we would have never linked up. We wouldn't have memories of chatting to each other and just finding like-minded people. Like it's just freaking awesome. And thank you so much for all the ongoing support you've given those left behind. And yeah, mate, like we really appreciate and love what you do.
And right back at you guys. Those left behind and all the scene have been a huge support of what I do, and those left behind are easily in the top 3 most supportive bands. And I don't want to make numbers or lists and that, but like, yeah, it's good to see because I'm just out there trying to help the local scene as much as possible, and I do it because I love it. I don't expect anything in return. I don't expect brownie. I don't do it for brownie points and all that. I do it because I care and I love it.
Mate, you do a great job, and it's just awesome just to find like-minded people. And it's just cool to talk shop, isn't it?
And this just feels like we've known each other for 15 years, which we haven't, but
Mate, it's a rarity, isn't it, when you just find what you call it, topics and things to relate, and that's one of the most powerful things from music, man. It's just so inclusive. It's just so rad, and it's just so cool that yeah, you can meet someone and just be chatting for 2 hours, just about rock and roll, man. It's awesome.
And I keep coming back to this. I should have started this WebEx thing earlier.
Yeah,
Uh,
mate. Like this is awesome. You're knocking it out of the park. Well done, mate.
Yeah, and I love it. At the moment, I'm just taking it easy, 1 a week. It will up to maybe 4 a month later in the year, and we might work on a few things that might get adapted into the show. Like I might have a co-host from time to time that might want to jump on and chat to the bands. But yeah, just all a learning curve at the moment, and see where this goes.
Don't forget the Sammy hot tips and Sammy
Oh,
Powerball numbers.
And they're like, Sam said these numbers, I won $1 million. I'm like, oh dear.
Oh man, could you imagine how much would you just be like, should have listened to my own advice.
So if I do a hot tips and Powerball numbers and that person gets the numbers, do I get a chunk of their winnings? I doubt I would, but
Would be for the courts to decide.
Oh, and then the government get 10% of I'd forgotten about that.
Do they get anything from the lotto or?
I think if it's you win it, like if no one else wins it and you win the jackpot, you have to give, I think, 10% to the government.
Not double dipping. Isn't the government the one who fund it?
Yeah, I don't know, Brendan. I've stopped asking those
On brand.
questions.
On brand. It's disappointing, but not surprising.
It's like merch cuts, but let's not get into that. Actually, that could have been what grinds my gears at gigs, but it doesn't happen at every gig, though. So, yeah.
Yeah. No, fair enough.
All right, Brendan. Well, as much as I'd love to sit here and chat for the next 10 hours, it would be the longest episode in history.
Absolutely.
I better let Brendan from Those Left Behind go. And thank you to Tim for jumping on as well. And I'll upload this episode easily within 48 hours. Maybe sooner, just depends what else I've got happening tomorrow.
Nice, mate. Nice. Looking forward to seeing it, mate.
Nah. And I'll share the playlist. You'll see Those Left Behind. You'll see a whole lot of South Australian bands and bands from local areas everywhere in Australia. I think I've got covered this week. So
Nice, mate. Love your work, mate. Looking forward to it.
thanks, Brendan, and you're welcome back on any time. Both you
Awesome.
and Tim and everyone in Those Left Behind.
Awesome. We might see if we can wrangle one of the other talking heads and see if they've got something a bit different to say than what me and Timmy do.
I look forward to it, and all the best, and we'll catch up again soon, Brendan.
Sounds good, mate. We'll speak soon.
Catch up.
All right. See ya. Bye.
See ya. Bye.